BigH Trucking. What's up, YouTube? Going for my daily walk. Or I should say at least every other day I'm going for a walk. Anyway, I'm on home time. And I'm actually at a Home Depot. I parked there. I decided to go for my walk. To a beautiful complex of my old building where I used to work in sales. Nice and quiet. I'm off the street, big ass parking lot, hills and all that good stuff. A little challenging, but I need to do that. The reason for this video is, as I said, as a driver, OTR driver for Prime Inc., as a lease operator, I bring you the good, the bad, the ugly, my journey, my story. So this, stuff like this happens. I got pulled over on Wednesday, first time in Pennsylvania on an off-ramp. He waved me through, then he screamed, yo, 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 and I saw him pointing to the shoulder. So I went to the shoulder. He comes strolling over and he goes, "What are you carrying?" I go, "Nothing but air, officer." Jokingly, of course, sarcastically. He looked at my reefer, saw that it was off. He's like, "Okay, you're dismissed. You can go. We're checking reefer." I wanted to know why, but I was like, all right, later. He's letting me go. I'm gone. I get off a highway, state route 22. This is where I got pulled over the first time. Or it was a all trucks must enter proposition there. Second time I'm on Interstate 99. I'm heading to 80 because I want to get to the terminal. It's Wednesday afternoon. My truck needs an inspection. I have to the end of the month, but I want to give my truck an inspection before going home. I really don't like leaving my keys to the castle with anyone. So I like to be there. And I'm curious by nature. I want to see what's involved in an inspection on a truck. I've never done that before. Because the one time I did it was at Love's the year before. At Love's policy is you're not allowed to be with the truck. You have to go in the waiting area, etc. All right, whatever. So I'm rushing to get back. Here's what happened. I started driving the night before about 8:30, 8:15, whatever it was. I drove from Vineland, New Jersey to Northeast Maryland. The load was supposed to be picked up, was ready at 11 o'clock. It was actually ready because with meat loads, sorry about the hand, with meat loads, Prime gets notified when the trailer's ready to go. So anyway, I get there about 10 o'clock. My first delivery out of 3 deliveries, 2 deliveries, the first one wasn't until 7 o'clock in the morning, and I was only like 280 miles away. So I didn't want to take my time, so this way, because on Google Maps, the first stop didn't look like there was a place for me to hang out. So I hung out at the shipper. Plenty of room, no overnight parking allowed, but I took my time, pre-tripped the trailer, walked around, set my tandems, did the park call, all the stuff necessary. I make it a habit of going into the sleeper berth. That's the way I run my operation. As soon as I bump docks, I finish my on duty, I go to sleeper berth. Because technically, I'm going back there to hang out, whatever the case may be. I'm in sleeper berth. I'm not sleeping, but I'm in sleeper berth. So I was in sleeper berth for an hour. Now that doesn't stop your 14-hour clock. It stops your drive clock, 11 hours. All right, I go down the road. I get to the first place about 5:45, even though I took my time. I stopped off at Breeze with TA to put fuel in my truck. reefer, fill that up. And if you know 70, because that's the route I took from Maryland all the way to the O2, that is a hilly road. So I burned, pretty heavy load. So I burned a few gallons of fuel. Decided, you know what, I still got another 105 miles to go. I know I'll be climbing. Plus, I want to get back to the terminal. Let me just put some fuel, only 50 gallons, into my truck. Okay. Giving you the long version of it because I'm walking. So bear with me. As I said, I get to the O2, I don't know, 5:45, 6 o'clock, whatever. That's irrelevant. I did a video on that. Angled back on a small little meat warehouse that was built in like the 20s. Really wasn't made for a 53-foot truck trailer plus the truck, so looking at 80 feet or so. Really wasn't made for that. But anyway, I did a video on that. They came in at 7 o'clock, a bunch of nice guys, said, we'll get you out of here as soon as we can. We got to unload only 8 pallets, but we got to count all the pieces. Once again, as soon as I backed it in, got situated, sleeper berth, I hung out, took a nap because I'm a little tired. I was in the sleeper berth for 3 hours. It's all going to make sense soon. I get my paperwork, do my depart call. 60 miles down the road, I get to my 90. Same thing, as soon as I bump the dock, submit my paperwork, sleeper berth. I was in there for 3.5 hours. So now I've got six hours or so in a sleeper berth, but my 14's still running. Well, when I was at my 90, due to the delays at both receivers, my 14-hour clock expired. I go to split my time. I had 3 hours and like 40 minutes left on my, I don't want to go into traffic because it'll get too loud. I had 3 hours and 40 minutes left on my 11-hour drive clock. But when I went to go click the split sleeper berth, nothing. I go to call logs, find out why can't I split my time? Because I have like 6.5 hours. I should be able to do a 7-3 split, whatever. I couldn't get through the logs. The yard dog comes by and says, dude, as soon as you're finished, you got to get out of here because we got trucks coming in. I have no time. So I looked at the closest truck stop. I was like 60 miles away. Pittston was 200. Again, my goal was to get to Pittston after this drop. No time. I'm in the negative. I'm like, screw it, man. I'm violating my 14-hour clock. I don't know why it's not coming back. Anytime coming back. Stumped at that. Called a buddy of mine. He's like, I don't know. The clock is really confusing, guys. I mean, I think when you think you know something, you don't know. And you can't get answers. When you want answers, it seems like. That's the way it works for me in my world. Again, driving down the road, see a bunch of homemade signs from the DOT. Sorry about that hand. Switching arms here. Makeshift signs. All vehicles over blah blah gross has to come check in on 43. Like I said, I did that. I got waved on. Going down the road, jump on 99, trying to get to 80. Driving down the road, right lane, 63 miles an hour, speed limit 70. Cruising down the road. All of a sudden, I look in my mirrors. I see a blue and red light behind me. My thought was, I'm in the right lane. There's nobody in the left lane. Holy shit, I'm getting pulled over. What the hell did I do? Right lane, 63 miles an hour in the 70-mile-an-hour zone. I wasn't on my phone. I wasn't drifting. Pull over. I'm like, I can't believe I'm getting pulled over. What the fuck? Excuse my language. What the fuck? What the hell am I getting pulled over for? Apparently they don't need probable cause like a car. Keep that in mind. He goes, all right. Can you do me a favor? Can you get off the shoulder and let's go up to there? There's a bigger spot. Yeah, of course, officer, no problem. Of course, I'm on my four-way, seatbelt's on. Use my blinkers, because he's watching me now closely. He's making me, he wants to write tickets. So he's going to try to nail me for any little screw up. So you got to think, I know it's nerve-wracking, getting pulled over. I get all that. Have your license, registration, insurance. Here's my license, sir. No, I don't have an up-to-date registration and insurance, but I've got an electronic version of it. I don't accept electronic versions. I go, well, officer, I've been told by somebody in the know, in our department, we have a very big compliance department at Prime, that electronic versions are now legal documentation since the C-19. Well, I don't accept paper. So, officer, it's not about what you accept, it's what is law. It's like, you're trying to be funny? I'm like, no. I said, I haven't been to a terminal in many months. Although my paperwork is expired in my book, I'm up to date. Prime runs 10,000 trucks. Well, I want the paper version. Give me what you got. All right. Get past that one. He's being a little choppy. I'm like, I got to diffuse the situation. Because if I get amped up, he's going to get amped up. And it's just going to make the situation a lot worse. All right. Let me see your graph. I said, officer, let me tell you something. You've scored. You're a lucky guy. Today's your lucky day because I'm violating my 14-hour clock. So the first time, and it's true, it's the first time in my career as a truck driver, on that day, I violated my hours. And I was saying to myself, personal conveyance, or should I violate my hours? What's the worst of the two? I keep on hearing, if you get caught driving in personal conveyance. Now, mind you, I'm not under a load and I'm not dispatched. I'm just carrying an empty trailer. So technically, gray line there. Actually, I could be in personal conveyance, but personal conveyance is only an hour. I was like, at that point, I'm 130 miles away from Prime, from the Pittston terminal. So I said, you know what? I'm going home for 7 days, 10 days actually. By the time I go back out on the road, and if I so happen to get pulled over, they require 8 days. I'll be in the clear. I was never good at being a criminal or a bullshitter. It didn't work for me. He looks at my graph, and he goes, and he actually said these words, holy shit, you've been driving since 8:05 last night? I'm like, no, officer, I have not. Well, that's what it shows. I said, no, what it's showing is that, yeah, I went on duty or drive line at 8:05, but if we look closely, grabbed the Qualcomm, brought it to the window, you'll see that I had sleeper berth for an hour and a half, and you'll see I drove, and I had a 3-hour break or so, and I drove, and I had another 3.5-hour break in between, where I closed my eyes and I went to sleep. And at that point, his whole demeanor changed. He became nicer to me. And he goes, I go, explain to me why I have 3 hours and 48 minutes left on my 11-hour clock. And I understand once your clock starts on the 14-hour, it runs no matter what. He looks. He goes, if you would have stayed, it turned out, if I would have stayed at either one of the two places for another hour in sleeper, I would have had to split, come back. So, long story short, I got a citation. And on that citation, I have a fine. Also, in addition to the fine, I've got the 2 documents that were missing at his request, the paper document of the registration and of the insurance. He comes back and he says, I'm placing you out of service. Okay, you want me to hang out here? And no, it's not safe. Which I knew he would say that. He goes, go to Millsbury, TA. It's 8 miles down the road, and do your 10-hour and then proceed. He goes, if I see you, or if any of my colleagues happen to pull you over after this whole ordeal that we just went through, they're going to throw the book at you. CDL is the hardest license to get, folks, and it's the easiest license to get lost. No, okay. I said, listen, I'm an adult. I got gray hair. I'm not a kid. I get it. I said, I apologize for breaking the rule on the 14-hour clock, but as you know, we both just discussed this. My 14 ran out, but I still have time on my 11. I didn't drive for the 16 hours, which he was really concerned about. He goes, how the hell can you still be up? I told him, about the naps. My luck, on the day that I decide to violate my hours for the first time in 2.5 years, or let's just say 2 years, simple math, I happen to get caught. I mean, so it turns out, as he was coming back, he steps up. At this point, he's mellow, he's a nice guy. Nice guy would have let me off on a warning. Say, don't ever do this again. Because I did have some time left on my, technically, I had time left on my 11. Flip side of the coin, I violated my 14-hour. I was out. So had I calculated my confusing clock, I'm a pretty sharp guy, and spent another hour at one of the 2 places, I would have got all that time back on my 11-hour clock, which is again 3 hours and 40 minutes, whatever it was. Not incur this penalty. Long story short, get to the final. My fine's $179, folks. He comes over, he goes, I've given you a break. And again, a break to me would have been, get your ass to TA, do your 10-hour, and then get out of here. If we catch you again, so let me off with a warning is basically what I'm trying to get at. And he didn't. He gave me a fine. But I'm willing to donate $179.50 to the state of Pennsylvania, so they maybe can use that money to use that money toward the road fund, because some of Pennsylvania, as you guys know, are just ridiculous. So anyway, my fleet manager, because naturally I contacted my fleet manager ASAP, told him what happened, and he's like, you do have your updated license and registration and all the necessary documents in your app. I'm like, yes, I do know that. I had an argument about it with him. He is not wanting to accept the electronic version. Now again, Prime is their citation department, that's not going to go on their CSA score or on my CSA score, because again, technically by law, we are allowed to show electronic version of documentation to the truck. However, what's going to go on my CSA score is I violated my 14-hour clock. I don't know nothing about the laws on that. I don't know how bad it's going to be or anything like that. But I guess the point of this matter is I got caught between a rock and a hard place, folks. Couldn't stay at the receiver. I was out of time. I mean, dead out of time. I was in the negative in the dock. Just didn't have enough time on my sleeper berth to give me any clock time back. Or my split back. Sorry about the wind. It's a little breezy out here. It's an absolute beautiful day here on Long Island. Absolutely beautiful summer day. I mean, yesterday and the other days, very humid. Just nasty out. Today is just absolutely magnificent. But I paid the fine yesterday. He's like, oh, you could pay it online. So I go to put my information online. No, you have to send it in. Mark the box not guilty or guilty. I'm like, why can't it be if you're paying a fine, you're automatically guilty? Why just got? So anyway, that's I have 10 days to pay that ticket. Again, it'll be there. I asked the postal worker when it should arrive. Wednesday. I got pulled over Wednesday. He was adamant about 10 days. Otherwise, we're going to issue a warrant. Whatever. But I screwed up, and I'm willing to admit it. It's nobody else's fault but me. The 11-hour clock, there's so many friggin' scenarios to work in that. And I just didn't have enough time. So with that being said, I'm guilty as charged. I violated my clock. I was in the middle of nowhere. No, this doesn't sound like, it sounds like I'm making excuses, but I'm not. Where was I going? Was I trying to get the pits in 100? At that point, it was 180 miles away. Yeah, guilty as charged. I wanted to get home. I had an appointment the next following day, which I had to postpone. So now it's going to extend my home time until a week from Monday. Kind of wanted to get back on Wednesday, Thursday, because the last 4 weeks have been absolutely magnificent for me financially. My truck is finally healthy. Let's just put it that way. But here's the caveat, or here's some advice. We talked about personal conveyance. I talked to him, if I was in PC, what would happen? He goes, I would look at your clock a little bit more closely. And if I know you were driving like 100 plus miles, 80 plus miles, he goes, not only would I bang you for the 14 hours, but I would have banged you for excessive use of personal conveyance. Listen, guys, they do not like personal conveyance. I said, even though I'm not dispatch, carrying an empty trailer, he's like, listen, you're still technically on duty because you're carrying, it's not your trailer. It's your company's trailer. You're technically still working, and plus you're heading to the truck stop. I mean, to Pittston, their terminal. Now, could I have BS'd it a little bit and said, well, sir, I'm making my way down to the nearest, truck stop. Would that have helped? I don't know. I didn't pose that question to him. But what I do know is DOT and state troopers are not fond of personal conveyance. Unless you're like, bobtailed. Really. When you're carrying a trailer. Now, every officer's different. Their discretion is going to be whatever their discretion is going to be. And there's no law. There's such a gray line that if you catch like this guy initially was nasty. He was looking for all kinds of stuff. Asked me who was in the truck, snooping around. Didn't come in my truck because legally they can't come in your truck unless they have probable cause. Remember that. If they want to get in your truck, you simply say, get me a search warrant. I'll be more than happy to let you in my truck. But until you do that, I'm not giving you permission to come in my truck. And always keep your curtains closed. So, that's my story. Now I've got a blemish on my record. How bad is it? I don't know. A violation's a violation. I accept full responsibility for that, but I'm glad, again, because of the situation, I'm glad I got caught with the hours of service failure than being caught on personal conveyance driving for whatever time. So at least at the end of the day, I made the right decision on that front. But I made a poor decision based on driving with no hours left. But sometimes we got to do what we got to do, and I was left in a precarious situation in the middle of nowhere on a state route where there's no truck stops. One way or another, I had to get out of there. There was no room for me to sit there, because sometimes I tell a guy, like, listen, you got to do me a favor, man. I'm out of time. I can't really move my truck. And they'll be a little lenient and say, all right, just go over there, pull over to the side, stay out of the way, or, you know. But in this case, it was a small little receiver and had no room, and there was actually a truck waiting for me to depart the dock. I don't know. Listen, shit happens in life. My conscience is clean. I try to do the right thing. Maybe I drove too far and should have stopped a little sooner. In hindsight, right, is always 20/20. I should have found the nearest truck stop, and you know. But you know, guys who you drive and you're out for a long time, you want to get home. You know, I want to get home. 13 weeks out on the road. I want to go home. I want to get my truck looked at, you know, service, my inspection done, clean it up, and I want to go home. It was going to work out perfectly because I was going to arrive at the terminal about 4:30, clean my truck out, get an inspection done, hopefully, and leave by around midnight. Because going over the George Washington Bridge right now at night, in the car, in the truck, or whatever, is absolutely a nightmare because of all the construction they're doing. So, but it didn't work out that way. So I spent all day Thursday waiting for an appointment, hung out, cleaned my truck, did laundry, and then left at night. But BigH Trucking, bringing you the truth. Just be careful. You know, just be careful. My clock ran out. Not because I was fooling around. It just was not. I was not in sleep berth for enough time during my deliveries. So it is what it is. All right, folks. Listen, BigH Trucking is out. I'm gonna enjoy my time at home. I am not stressing about it. I haven't heard anything about Prime. I don't think I'm going to be in trouble. They're probably happier that I had a clock violation versus being in personal conveyance. They hate that. They absolutely hate when people abuse the personal conveyance. So, but we all need a crash course or a fresher up on how to deal with that clock, and I'm still dumbfounded about that. But anyway, BigH Trucking is out. Enjoy your holiday. Enjoy your weekend. Stay safe. Make good decisions, folks. Till the next video. Peace out.